about this world, to actually start speaking to your children. Then, hello and welcome to the Well Child Show. Hello and welcome to the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety in the health, the safety, and the well-being of our children, especially the girl child, and by extension, society at large. It gives a lot of cause for worry that every day you wake up, it's another news of another young lady who has not only been raped, but murdered in the process. What exactly can we do? Where are we heading as a nation, as a people, as a committee of human beings with this unthinkable societal menace? Today on the Well Child Show, we'll be discussing rape and gender-based violence. Let's go on a very quick breather. When we return, I'll introduce my guest and the show will kick off in full. Please stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. And my name remains Kemak Onyenuchea, your host. Thank you for spending today with us. Today on the show, we'll be discussing rape and gender-based violence. And I have a very astute professional in the studio with me today to help do justice to this topic. Joining me on this edition of the program is Titilayo Ogunbambi. She is the founder of the Boundless Hands Africa Initiative and convener of the leading Women's Africa Network. She's an award-winning social worker focused on protecting women and girls from abuse and violence. Beginning in 2016, the Boundless Hands Africa Initiative has provided support to women and girls by giving them access to assistance for victims and empowering them with skills, knowledge, and the tools to succeed, whilst raising the next generation of female leaders. She is a one champion, a UN Women Beijing Eaglet, and has just made the list for the MFW 2020 Fellowship. Titilayo, you are welcome to the Well Child Show.
Thank you very much.
Now, it's such a sad occurrence that we find. What is this thing about rape? And not just looking at the violation of a human being, but taking steps further to annihilate and end the lives of the victims. As someone on the forefront of women empowerment and protecting, the female child from exposure to abuse, what would you say this portends for us as a nation and as a people?
So basically, let me start by explaining what rape is.
Please do.
So rape is a type of sexual assault. So gender-based violence has different forms: the sexual, the physical, emotional, and economical. So sexual assault can be in form of rape, and rape is using force or without consent, penetrating an individual's body sexually. So without consent and with force, that is what rape is. And if you see in recent times, apart from using force and lack of consent, they go ahead to kill the victim.
Right.
Why are they killing the victim? Silence. So with the recent buzz on social media, with the recent advocacy and activities that are going out, the culture of silence is beginning to reduce. For a long time in Africa, in Nigeria, people have been silent. When it happens, cases of sexual abuse, rape, when it happens, family, communities try to keep it within themselves. They are scared of stigmatization. They don't want people to say, oh, this girl has been raped. And even before now, when women want to get married and a man heard that you've been raped, you know, it was a societal something. Our culture frowned at it. But thank God for advocacy. Thank God for organizations like ours that are coming out to create that awareness, to sensitize the society. That if you keep covering up rape, if we keep with this culture of silence, then all our girl children will either suffer from one form of violence or the other. And our communities will continue to suffer from the menace of gender-based violence. So that's a brief
like it's for the week. I haven't been myself. Like I have been mentally, emotionally, dangerously on the verge of depression because of, you know, the things we heard. And you have just answered a huge question in my heart, and I believe in the minds of our viewers. You know, for the first time on my show, I'm short of words. This is a real public menace going ahead to violate the body of a young person, a child, a female, and then taking a dastardly step of ending the life. And here you are, you just mentioned that it's all about silencing the victim.
Yeah.
That tells us something. And I really want us to, you know, delve deeper and bring out a lot of meaning and definition surrounding, you know, rape and gender-based violence. You mentioned that rape thrives in silence and secrecy. And to a large extent, because I was taking notes while you were talking, it's because of stigma and probably the reverse psychology associated with rape. Can you tell us, as someone I'm sure who has dealt with issues surrounding rape and gender-based violence, what goes on in the mind of a rapist? Based on your interactions, I'm sure you've interviewed, you know, and probably even handled cases of seeking for justice. What would you say, based on your experience as a professional in this field, goes on in the mind of a rapist? What is it about rape? Is it just about the pleasure? Is it just about masochism, which is a form of sexual pleasure where there has to be pain for it to be pleasurable? Or is there something else besides all this?
Okay, something I didn't talk about is penetration doesn't have to be with your private parts. So in recent times, we've arrested victims that tell you that I didn't use my penis, I just used my finger, I touched her breast. In fact, somebody is in cell that I arrested last week for, he was just saying he didn't penetrate her with his penis, he used his fingers, and you know, they use all sorts of things. So answering your question, for me, I feel our culture have root causes of engaging people to just feel they can do whatever they want to do. So let me give you a story of myself personally. I grew up in northern Nigeria, just precisely. And growing up for me, I saw pockets of violence around me. I saw people of my age at 12 get married.
Wow.
I went to school in GS1, and a neighbor of mine, Fatima, that was my friend, I came back from GS1 first term, and she was married off. I grew up in the 1980s. So it's
this is not even,
you get,
you know,
it's not far off. The way the culture has decided to bring up the boy child or the men in our community, they feel entitled. Our girls and our women have been brought up in a way to feel that the kitchen is their place, or they are maybe subordinate to the men. So a man just feels I can get anything I want to get. So if they ask you for sex and you are not providing it, they can say they can get it by force. And another thing is that our systems are not working. So if a man should get sex by force and is punishable, capital punishment like it is in the Western world, I tell you, people will stop getting things by force. If you arrest a victim of rape and take the victim, a perpetrator of rape and take the perpetrator to the police station, the first thing they will be asking the victim, not the perpetrator, is that where were you? How were you dressed? I'm sure you've seen this in social media.
Right.
Recently, we've seen women say, I was dressed in hijab, I was covered up completely, and I was raped. So, entitlement from our men, from our boys. We've been doing a lot of programs around the girl child, enlightening them, and if you can see, they're coming up, they're taking it upon their hands. When I was growing up, for me, I felt it was a privilege that I had the opportunity to go to school, because some people didn't have the opportunity. And from there, that was why I decided to raise my voice and say, I was opportune to do this. Why can't I talk for other people, other girls that can't have the opportunity to enjoy what I'm enjoying? So we need to, apart from educating the girl child, the boys need to be raised in a way that they are not entitled. You are not entitled to any girl's body. In the US, if you rape a person, 25 years in prison. All the people we've arrested for rape, have they been jailed? These are the questions we should be asking.
Let's take a quick break. Let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back.
Sorry.
You are welcome back. It's still the Well Child Show, brought to you by Global Child Health and Safety Initiative. My name remains Kemak Onyenuchea. On the show today, we're looking at the topic rape and gender-based violence. And I have a very astute professional with me in the studio, Titilayo Ogunbambi. Thank you, Titi, for coming on the show. You know, sometimes when you consider the stark reality of all that is happening, it just overwhelms you emotionally and you find yourself asking certain questions. Why take the life of a young girl who has the world ahead of her? You have succeeded in violating this person. Why end it all? You know, it's not like life is something that
you can get again.
Yes, like you're dead for a while and then you come back and continue from where you stopped. And of course, you have shed light on so many things, from our justice system to our culture to the entitlement mentality that is embedded in our culture and the way we raise our children. And of course, you know, having a very personal experience of a friend of yours that got married. May I ask, what happened to the girl?
Okay, for a while, I kept on asking for my friend. And years later, I think before I left for the university, when I asked her parents, they broke down and told me that she died of VVF. She was 12 when she got married. She was trying to have a baby, and she died of VVF.
Now, we are all aware about the global pandemic, that's the COVID-19, otherwise known as the coronavirus, and the lockdown or the stay at home, you know, order that was given by governments all across the world. Now, I'm aware that your organization carried out some research surrounding the prevalence of gender-based violence in relation to the instruction the stay-at-home instruction. Can you share a bit of the statistics that you have?
It's so unfortunate that COVID-19 came about and changed the world drastically. So Action Aid, an organization that is into research on gender-based violence, it says that every 12 minutes, one woman or one girl dies of gender-based violence around the world. So we've stayed 12 minutes here, right?
Right.
We've lost somebody already. And then a report also shows that from the 30th of March to the 30th of April, we had a rise in gender-based violence in 23 states out of 36 states in Nigeria. And guess what the percentage of rise was? 149% rise. Women and girls are locked down with people that are supposed to be, you're supposed to be in the home, you're supposed to be in safety, but you are locked down with people that are violating and molesting you. On a normal day, a girl child will get up in the morning. Some cases that we handle, she gets up in the morning and go. Her mom and her dad are no more together. Her mom left them with their dad. So normally she gets away from, I'm sure you saw it in the news, she gets away from her dad by going to school. Now there is no school anymore. Incest. He has been sleeping with the children, both of them. In fact, she said she didn't mind that it was her. What about her younger sister? So we can see that we have 149% increase. We're not saying 20%. Normally we have 20, we have 40. It's 149% increase. Lockdown has put a lot of girls at risk. Another thing we should look at is poverty. A girl child in the community, because my work is community-based, went and fell a victim of rape because she was hungry.
Oh, Lord.
During the lockdown, palliatives were not shared to them. They were hungry. A boy promised her food and she went with him. She was raped and she didn't get the food. So you can see that our problems are systemic in Nigeria. That is why organizations like us are coming out to say, declare a state of emergency. When there is a 149% increase in something, it's a pandemic. So the pandemic that will even kill us is not coronavirus.
Right.
Is rape, is incest, is gender-based violence, physical, economical, emotional.
What can we do? Because at the end of the day, we can reel out all the statistics and go over the problems and, keep prancing around in circles. Now, I know your organization recently organized, like a march or a walk, an advocacy timeout. We're going to come to that. That's on the top layer. Speaking as a community-based organization that works with the grassroots, from your experience, what practical steps can I as an individual take that will reduce the spate of this violence that we're experiencing everywhere in my immediate community? I don't have the powers of government. I don't have the powers of legislation. But I believe there's something I can do for the average person on the street, or the average woman listening in, or the average young man watching. What can each person do to change this tide?
Okay, from our work, we realize that a lot of people are not informed. They don't have the information of what can I do once rape happens. What can I do once I see a shady, movement in my community? What can I do if somebody comes to me and say, this happened to me? We don't have the information. First things first, we have to start giving the right information to the people that need it. Social media has helped, but what about those people that don't have access to social media? Those are the people in the community. Those are the people in underserved area that are looking for daily bread. All they care about is food to eat. One very important strategy that I've seen that worked even in the Western world is community policing. People have lost confidence in government, in police. So when victims calls me, I tell them, please, where is the nearest police station in your area? Can you go there and report this case? And they tell you, police will not do anything. I've gone to police before, they said. When it comes to community policing, you as the community leaders, religious, parents, traditional rulers, come together and take it in your hands that in this community, we don't want our girls to be raped anymore. Come together as a community, approach the local government. There's structure. It's just that we, the people, are not using that structure, and then maybe the structures are not working the way they are supposed to be working. But if we don't, like you said, take it in our hands as individuals wanting to stop something from happening, then it will continue to happen. We'll continue to lose our girls. Community policing is one very important way that we can do this. And through community policing, everybody will have the information they need to get. The community leaders are working directly with the police, so that in a case whereby something happens, they are picking up their phone and say, policeman, I heard this happening in my community. What has been done about it? Has the person been apprehended? And even though after the person has been apprehended, some days after they will release him, you as the community policing person in your environment, people have the confidence to come to you. It's no more the police, you are now the middleman. They have the confidence. It's us.
Right.
We are, and we do it together. That is what I think is one of the cases that we can do. NGOs personally, we work with those people. So if there is any case, they have access to the NGOs directly. So we just have to find a systematic way of cascading those information to the people that really need it, and then make every individual, is my responsibility. A watchword I use is integrity begins with I. So if you as an individual feel rape is far away from you, I'm sorry, Uwa went to the police, the church to study. Her mother said she always goes there to study. She just wanted to pass her exams. Maybe Uwa's mother thought it was far away from her, but it happened to her. Tina was wherever and police shot her. Maybe just carrying on her daily activities. So you as an individual in Nigeria, you think it's far away from you? We all have to rise up. I always tell people, when one of us is in trouble, we are all in trouble.
Let me just run through the points that you have raised for the benefit of our listeners. Number one, you talked about disseminating the right information, getting the information to the grassroots, educating the core of our rural and possibly urban slum communities, because of course you know from the work you do, research has shown that these things, though widespread, seem to be concentrated in rural and urban slum communities. And then you talked about community policing, which is quite novel, because members of a particular community have a sense of responsibility and ownership for the safety, you know, because we are all there, we interact every day. So I think I actually agree with you. If our local communities can come together and form, you know, put together some form of community checks and policing, that will go a long way. And of course, partnering with non-NGOs such as yourself. And then of course you had already mentioned at the beginning family style and upbringing. How are we bringing up our children? Now can you look into that camera and talk to our parents? This one right here, the last one. Talk to our parents about family style and upbringing. Now, particularly the men. For the most part, a lot of people tell me I seem to be, you know, focused on what the man is doing wrong and I'm too hard on men. But I believe that as the leader of the home and the family, the pillars you institute in your home as the father and as the head of that home will determine the spirit of that home. So can you please talk to our men?
Okay, I like to go with history. When we were growing up, they used to say that a child is raised by the community. So you don't own your child. In communities then, when I do something wrong, somebody that is maybe my mother's friend or my father's friend will flog me. Maybe because I abused somebody or I did something, she will flog me because she felt I was her daughter. I was her child. But right now, what are we doing? We're removing those main things that these children are supposed to be learning from them and leaving them with social media to teach them. Leaving them with, you don't even know who the friends of your children are. So raising a child has to do with a lot of, you beat your wife and your children are there looking, what will happen when those children grow? So we also have a family problem in Nigeria. Families have to raise their daughters and their sons equally. You're eating, the boys and the girls should pack up the plates after eating and wash it together. Plates are not meant for girls to wash, or cars are meant for boys. I want you to grow up your girl child like an individual. Remove the girl from her, remove the boy from the boy. We are human beings. Let's grow up as human beings, not as girl or as boy. Allow them to discover themselves personally. They will discover themselves and they will know what they want to do. Stop making the boys feel entitled that they can get anything from everybody. A friend of mine were talking before. She moved to the US. You know, she was telling me that before she moved to the US, she never knew that you can actually say no to sex in Nigeria.
Wow.
Because the men feel entitled, they toast you and you don't agree. Somehow they'll coerce you and force you into having sex with them. So boys should start having a sense of responsibility. We've been talking to the girls for a while. Now we want an integrated sensitization program. So a girl will talk to them about menstruation and all. A boy should even know
should
about
also learn about
too.
these things. Because
So
it's a part of
exactly,
life.
Exactly, it's a part of life. So that in case your wife or whoever, your classmates have that issue, can you remember when we were growing up and you had a stain on your dress? Your whole semester is finished because people will talk about it. People will make jest of you.
It's so much. And of course, finally, you also mentioned the culture of silence. And let me add that we need to begin to speak up. This is one situation where silence is not golden. We need to encourage victims to speak up. And when they do, we need to prefer them with help, understanding, healing, and warmth, not judgment.
Exactly. If somebody summons the courage to come out and say she was raped or she was sexually abused, then you should know what it takes.
It does.
What the person needs is not for you to stigmatize or say, where were you? What the person needs is for you to say, thumbs up. Thank you for coming out to speak. And most times they need trauma healing.
Assistance.
I know somebody that has been raped 20 years ago. She still has that trauma within her. She's still healing. We have a lot of organizations that are helping people to.
Sadly, we are out of time, Titilayo, but this conversation has to continue.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. And to you, my precious viewers, let's learn to make our communities safe for ourselves and our children. You can follow us on social media across all our platforms. And of course, again, I'm calling on partners and sponsors. Come on board and partner with us on the Well Child Show. Let's keep this show on the air and keep churning information on the health, safety, and wellness of our children. Thank you for being a part of the show today. I will see you again on the next edition of the Well Child Show. Until then, always remember, child health and safety is everybody's business. Goodbye and God bless you.